311. Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. If this is your first time with the channel, my name is Mark.
Oh, hi Mark.
Welcome to Fit and Fire. Let's get into this video. This time we're going to be looking at the Canik Mete MC9 Prime. This is a pistol that was released at SHOT Show this year and kind of a bit of a surprise for me. I went over to the Century Arms booth to check out their AP 51 and 53 rifle caliber pistols that are clones of the HK designs. And while I was over there, the marketing manager came over and was like, hey, have you checked out the Prime? And I was like, actually, no, I haven't. So I looked at it and was pleasantly surprised. The reason for that is because it is very similar to the SIG P365X Macro Comp as far as its size, its concealability, its slimline looks and features. So I was actually very, very interested. Full disclosure, the Prime was sent to me by Canik. I was part of the initial release to influencers, YouTubers, whatever, and that's my only relationship. So I'm not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent about this pistol. I'm going to talk about the good, I'm going to talk about the bad, and let you guys decide whether or not this is going to be right for you. Because I've got a lot to say. We're going to do a quick overview of this, and then we're going to talk about my range time that I have with this, because I have over 500 rounds for this, probably close to that 550 round mark. Kind of lost track there, but at the very least, this has been reliable at the very least. So we'll talk about that in here. My question to you guys right off the bat is, what do you guys think of the Prime? Do you think that this is going to be a contender against, say, like the Hellcat Pro or the X Macro Comp or some of the other styles of concealed carry pistol? Let me know down in the comments section down below. Now, one of the things about this that is a bit surprising from a Canik pistol is this is made in America, which I thought was pretty cool. They have a new factory in Florida, and this is the very first pistol that is made here in the United States. So good on Canik for that. The next thing that was a bit of surprise for me was the fact that this was being marketed at about a MSRP of 650 bucks. Is that what you're going to pay for it? Is that where we're going to actually see it in shops or online? Probably not. I would say between $500 and $550 is where we're going to be looking at this. But needless to say, that's actually a little bit more expensive than what we're expecting for a Canik pistol. So a bit of a sticker shock there, but at the same time, I also feel that once we start seeing these on the shelves, that price is going to drive down a little bit, and it's going to be more competitive pricing wise than what we would see for the X Macro Comp or the Hellcat Pro or the I don't know, M&P 2.0 or whatever the case may be. It's going to be competitively priced, I would say. So let's do a quick overview of everything going on with this. First and foremost is you can tell that this is going to be a ported barrel and a comped slide. That is one of the big features with this, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be comparing this to the X Macro Comp so heavily in this video, is because of that. Moving back from there, we have some pretty nice slide serrations on the slide itself, and then we have a optics cut for an RMSC footprint, which you can directly mount a RMSC style red dot directly to the slide, which is something that I wish more manufacturers would do to, you know, basically kind of force a footprint, you know, regardless if it's RMSC, RMR, Dr. Footprint, it doesn't matter. I wish we could see more and more of this, because we're going to see that you can co-witness your iron sights directly with this style of red dot, which is a huge bonus for people who are strapped for cash and just don't want to spend more money getting optic or suppressor height sights. So I would say good on Canik for doing that. Grip texture on this is fairly aggressive, more aggressive up front and on the rear than the sides, but one thing that I do like about this is the fact that that texturing goes nearly all the way up to the slide release, which is ambidextrous, by the way, and really allows you to get your hand, your support hand, locked in on this, because these styles of pistols are going to be a little flippy, have a little bit more recoil impulse than your full-size duty pistols. So having that additional grip texture there makes it really, really nice. It does have an enhanced magwell here that is removable should you want to change that out. And it comes with 2 Metgar magazines that are 17 round capacity. This is also going to accept other full-size Canik magazines as well. So if you already have a TP9, like one of the rivals, it's going to have the ability to accept those magazines as well, as we can see in the footage here. So that's something I really do like. The idea of like CZ or Glock having cross compatibility with their magazines is something that is huge, because you don't have to spend extra money on magazines if you already have another model of this type of pistol. Finally is the trigger. Everybody wants to know about the trigger. This is going to be reminiscent of the rival trigger that Canik put out last year, and it's exactly what you would expect from Canik. It's going to have a bit of a take-up, real flat-faced trigger, and wide as well. I was going to think that I didn't like the wide trigger, but I actually do. The pad of my index finger just really sits on that really nice and well, but you have that take up there, and then it just breaks right on over. Exactly what you'd expect. Reset, super short, and really, really nice trigger. As you can see right here, I took some footage at my second range trip and was just playing around with that reset, and man, it's pretty amazing, to say the least. So there's your quick overview of everything going on with this pistol. Let's talk about my time at the range. I took 2 trips to the range. First to the indoor range to just run 200 rounds through it, get a good 0 on the Holosun 407K, and get a 5-round group at 25 yards, standing offhand shooting, and then just kind of understand how this shoots, just kind of get that recoil impulse categorized in my mind a little bit, I guess, and just kind of get used to this pistol. Now, I will say that I felt this was a little bit more snappy than what other types of pistols like this would be, but to the Prime's defense, that is because right before I started shooting this, I shot the Beretta 92 XI Sabia, which is a single action only, all metal frame, just buttery smooth pistol to shoot. Put a couple of magazines through that just to kind of verify my 0 on the red dot, and then went to this, and I was like, oh, this is really snappy. So that's not a very good comparison, and something I had to put to rest when I went to my second range trip. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But real quick, the 5-round group with just budget Winchester 115 grain full metal jacket was acceptable. It was about a fist size at 25 yards shooting offhand, and that's exactly what I would expect from this. So I would say decent accuracy, especially if you get more premium ammo, especially your defensive loads. That is going to be a very accurate pistol. One thing that I will also mention here, speaking of defensive loads, is that the barrel is 3.64 inches, but it's actually only about 3 inches because the rifling of the barrel stops just before the ports in the barrel. So that is something that you're going to have to keep in mind as you purchase defensive ammunition. My recommendation is to run the Hornady Critical Defense, because that is kind of tuned for these smaller pistols, whereas Critical Duty is meant for duty-sized pistols, such as a Beretta 92 or a Glock 19, Glock 17, something to that effect. So keep that in mind. Went to the second day of the range and decided to pit this up against the X Macro Comp and the TP9 Elite SC. I felt that those were good representations of different styles of concealed carry pistols. And so here's a video of me at 25 yards, just kind of comparing all three pistols. Okay, we're gonna slow fire at about 25 yards to the target, starting with the Prime, and then we will move to the TP9 Elite SC, and finally the SIG P365 X Macro Comp. I'm going to bounce back to the Canik after every 5 rounds just to reinforce what I'm feeling. So here we go, 25 yards slow fire. Prime first. Really driving that support thumb into the frame to help mitigate recoil. Elite SC. So softer, I would say. I would say it's softer, but set that down. Let's go back to the Prime. Yeah, just ever so slightly softer. I don't know why. And let's go back to the Prime. .365 X Macro Comp. About the same. All right, so thanks for bearing with the wind noise in the background. I was just running my phone to capture that video, but there you have it. There's a data point. There really didn't have much of a difference to make a difference, I would say, at the end of the day, which is one of those pieces that I had to lay to rest from my first range session. From there, I did go back to 50 yards and ran a full magazine through this on an IPSC size steel target. And I wanted to compare how well I was able to shoot it compared to the X Macro Comp at 50 yards. And I will tell you that the Canik didn't do very well. While I feel that it is an accurate pistol, I was only able to get just a handful of rounds on target, and it was a little bit of a letdown. Switched over to the X Macro Comp and was able to put more rounds on target. Not all of them, but I was able to get more rounds on target than I was with this. And I'll explain the reasons why I think that is here in just a second. From there, I decided to go and do bill drills on that same steel target at 7 yards, and started off with the Prime and then moved over to the X Macro Comp. .311. Okay. This barrel's very hot. Two mics, 296. Two mics, 296. Here we go. .275. There we go. .275. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Here we go. .274, one mic. Already coming out of the gate stronger, faster with this. .271, all hits. .264, all hits. And what I found was that this held its own. It didn't do better than the X Macro Comp, and it didn't do worse than the X Macro Comp. The first couple iterations were pretty rocky for sure, but by the third iteration I was able to get a 2.75 second split time and all 6 rounds on target, so that was great. Was all 6 rounds in the A zone? I don't know, but at the very least it was on steel, so there is that. Switching over to the X Macro Comp, and I will tell you straight out of the holster, I was faster than the best time on the Canik, and even got better from there by the third iteration. So why is that? Well, because I have nearly 2,000 rounds on the X Macro Comp. It's one of my daily carries. I've used it in competition, and I'm extremely familiar with that pistol. I understand where I need to aim. I understand how to mitigate recoil in my grip and all that type of stuff. With this, I only have about 550 rounds, so I kind of have to give the Canik a little bit of a break. Even though I was better with the SIG than I was with the Canik, I still feel that this is going to be an adequate concealed carry slimline pistol for those who are interested in this. So that is that's kind of where I land when it comes to the comparisons of this to other pistols. I still feel that this is a little bit snappy, but at the end of the day, I think that just more time with it, more draw strokes and all of those types of things, this will be a very competitive pistol to those other ones. All right, so let's talk about the things that I don't like about this pistol. And first and foremost is going to be kind of how they have this ported and comp slide situation, barrel slide, all of this whole situation going on. The reason why I'm not a big fan of it is because there is a lot of debris on the lens of my red dot right now. That is not something that I have noticed with the X Macro Comp. Of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds that I've put through that, putting 100 rounds or more through it at the same range day that I shot this, I didn't have to wipe off the lens of the red dot. With this, I've had to wipe off the red dot several times. In addition to that, the front sight is nearly blacked out. I've got some buildup here around the port and comp situation that they've got going on. So something here is causing this to get overly dirty, and I would like for Canik to take a look at that. So that's number one. Is it something that you can clean? Absolutely. But if you're running this at a course or a competition, you're going to need to be aware of that so that you can make sure that you're all cleared up before you go to your next stage. Or, you know, if you're running a concealed carry class, you wipe everything down before you go to lunch and come back and finish off the class for that day. Like fighting rifle or fighting pistol over at Tactical Response, that's 1,000 rounds in 2 days. You're going to definitely need to clean this. That's number one. Number two is the recoil spring seems to be a little stout, a little too stout for this pistol. I'd like for them to take a look at that and see if they can kind of dampen down the poundage on that recoil spring, because if you have weak hands or if you have arthritis in your hands, racking this slide might be a little challenging for some people. So I would like for them to tweak that just a little bit. However, on the opposite side of that coin, I also understand that by doing that could potentially cause this to be a little ammo sensitive. So one of those things needs to get figured out, because I think that they're doing a disservice on such a great pistol and leaving out people who just aren't going to be able to rack this slide. There's that. Finally, the nitpicky piece that I have about this pistol is this isn't released to the public yet. I think it releases on April 15th, so I'm one of the few that have one of these in my hands before everybody else. And one thing that I will say, which is good, is the fact that it comes with a really nice case and has a holster that comes with it. It's a G-code holster that Canik collaborated with them on, and it is an ambidextrous holster, so if you're left-handed you can run it. It does have a paddle for you to run it outside the waistband as well, but to be frankly honest with you, it is not a good holster. This pistol rattles around in it, and it is a opened holster design, so the end of the barrel is going to stick out, and as you have probably heard in B-roll in this video so far, I've complained about this barrel and slide getting overly hot. So if you're at a course or you're running this in competition, that you're allowed to carry appendix inside the waistband, and then you're using that holster and you put this into that holster, things are going to get toasty down in the nether regions, if you know what I'm saying. So just be very, very mindful of that. Is it a serviceable holster? Yes. It's about the only thing that we're going to have available to us until we can get companies like QVO Tactical. They're one of the companies that I really like their holsters. I use it on my X-Macro comp. They probably won't be able to get holsters out on this until probably about a month after the release of this. So we're looking late May or even into June before we'll see some good holsters. So just take that with a grain of salt. It's just one of those things. I wish they would have come up with a better holster than what was provided, and I don't think that it would have been too difficult to do that, and probably wouldn't have added too much cost as well. So just kind of my little things that I didn't particularly care for when it came with the Prime, but at the end of the day, the pistol itself is going to be very, very good. Over 500 rounds, close to 550 rounds, and zero issues with it. No failures to feed, fire, or eject. So it's been extremely reliable, exactly what you would expect from one of these pistols from Canik. So there's what I've got. Let me know what you guys think. Did I do it justice? Do you think that I compared this well with some of the other pistols? I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section down below. Am I going to trade this for the P365 X-Macro comp? Probably not. The reason for that is I have more experience with the X-Macro comp. Will I carry this? Yeah, I'll carry it for a little bit until we can get it up to that 1,000 round mark and see kind of, you know, what else comes around with my experience up to 1,000 rounds. But more on that a little bit later. As always, I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section down below. That pretty much covers it for this particular video. My first initial impressions 500 rounds later of the Prime. I think it's going to be a good pistol. I think a lot of people are going to like it, and ultimately there's some refinement things that I think they could do to make it a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it's a solid start point for Canik and this more kind of higher end pistol. So with all that being said, thank you so much. If you think that I did a good job with this video, consider subscribing to the video, to the channel rather. Likes, comments, and shares are great and the best way to support this channel. And as always, we'll catch you guys next time. Here comes a high five, freedom through strength. Bye y'all.